So we'll be diving into how working with different culture enriches our experience and help us grow both professionally and personally. How do you ensure effective communication among teams? Cultural norms or practices. Ask that which culture is the best.
I have learned about Ayurveda. Indian people are also very spiritual. I don't want to get in trouble.
Hey everyone, welcome to our channel. Here's Deepika, your HR Unscripted HR partner at Niroga. So today we have invited a special guest with us to discuss something that's incredibly relevant in today's global work environment, that is cultural diversity. And also I have shared my tips and tricks, the practical exercises how a company can overcome with the culture differences. So we'll be diving into how working with different culture enriches our experience and help us grow both professionally and personally. So let's jump right in. Hello Bea, how are you?
Hey, Deepika. Good day to you.
Great, okay. So how's your day going ahead?
Getting into work, getting there.
Great. Okay. So to start, I think I wanted to start with first question of mine is that why did you choose to work with a client from a different culture? And what motivated you to step into a more diverse work environment?
Right. So just a little backstory for all that are watching us today, is that I am totally from a different country compared to all of the employees in Niroga. So I am from the Philippines. To answer Deepika's question is why did I choose a different culture to work with or what? Actually, it just happened by accident, not accident or not. I didn't really plan, to work in a different culture, but mostly all of the job postings that are being posted on that hiring platform that I have a profile on are all kind of like US, Canada, and stumbled upon India. So yeah, it wasn't really a planned one, but definitely it's a journey so far. So yeah.
So, Bea, I think when we talk about the culture differences and the culture diversity, the one thing that we always talk about is the communication. Because communication here also involves one of the thing that is language barrier. Your language is different, Filipino. Our language is Indian culture that we do Hindi and stuff like that. So that's one difference is the language barrier. But also when we talk about the communication, that can be challenging for our team in a different aspect, right? So my question to you is that how do you ensure effective communication among team members, like with a different set of a culture?
Yeah, so that's one thing because I think all of us, our second language is English. It's not our first language. So there's going to be some sort of how we say things. Sometimes we pronounce things that are, we didn't understand. So I think how we are really managing that is be honest. You always kind of like be honest of, well, I didn't understand. So you gotta ask again, or can you say that, one more time, things like that. Because, working remotely, we really need to have that effective communication. So I think that's one of the things how we're really dealing with it is to, being honest about not understanding what the other person have said. So yeah.
Yeah, because when you're pronouncing things the way I pronounce and the way you pronounce, and also pronouncing and perceiving it, because what I'm telling you might perceive it in a different way, and what you say it might be I perceived in a different way, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's also one of the barriers to this culture differences. Okay, I like definitely when you are tackling all of this, a different setup. Right now here you are having only Indian team, right? So you do have a one culture people. I suppose you might have encountered with different set of a cultural differences that you come. So what were tell me about your challenges with that. Have you faced any challenges? How did you overcome that?
I think some, we can say that it could be a culture difference, or sometimes it could be personality difference. So sometimes we don't really know which one is which, right? But overcoming that, I think, you really think of how can I make this work for both of us, so that, we're working in a pleasant environment. Both of us would be working in a pleasant environment. So I think really trying to understand the other person, based on how you really need to be honest. Like, you really need to try to be as transparent also. Like, are we not in the same page? Asking a lot of questions, I would say, asking that clarity to the other person.
What do you think? What would be the positive outcomes of that cultural differences?
Okay, so I think every time that we have different perspective, I think that's the main thing. If we are growing up in the same culture, we might have that culture bias. Like, we already kind of like have some sort of same ideas. But I think if there are different cultures, some creativity are different. Sharing those backgrounds, and yeah, so I think more on different mindsets also when dealing with some challenges at work, or having those projects, how to tackle those projects based on the cultural biases that we have. So yeah, I think that might have positive effects on that.
Yeah, because I think mind changes when you are in different culture. Like, you do have a different own set of creativity that you give, or the feedback that you can give, and that's really improve your creativity level. Okay, so moving ahead, I would like to now know about that. Sometimes cultural norms or practices can also lead to conflict, right, with the workplace expectation. So, have you ever faced these type of situations?
Maybe yes. If the expectations are not laid right away, So I think again, the communication plays a vital role here of really having all of the expectations and responsibilities discussed, so that the expectations are met, not just because it's not disclosed or anything like that. So it's important. I think, I'm not sure if there will be culture that are not setting the expectations right away. So, but for me, that's very important to have the expectations laid out in the beginning.
Okay. So, Bea, like, you're working in the remote work, as we have already talked about the challenges that one can face in the remote working, right? Where we are not meeting and everything. So, let's understand it from that perspective. That how did it like present? Did it present any new challenges to you, especially with the culture differences when you are not meeting people, right? How has that remote work affected your interaction with colleagues from different cultures?
I guess it has some challenges, that you're not being able to be there physically and meet them, because the bond, I would say, is different when you're physically meeting your colleagues and all that. So, it, I would say that it has some challenges, like right now, I'm not really meeting you in person. All of you are in India. So, but we do what we can, the best we can to, work is being done. That's the beauty of remote work. And yeah, so, but in the communication side, we do what we can.
True, true, true. So, we are talking about always talk about the growth, like earlier. So, basically, that how has working in culturally diverse environment where you have a set of different people. contributed to your personal growth and the professional growth?
Mm-hmm. So I think, I was adjusting, like, since you know that it's different culture, so I was like really able to adjust, to um and to know, a different side of, this is the first time that I have been in an Indian company, working with Indian colleagues and all that. So the growth there would be like, really knowing the culture and the work ethic and how things are run in an Indian based company, and the company culture that you also have created. So so the growth, I would say, is really getting to know the culture in your side of the world.
So where I would also want to know about it. How many clients that you have worked with the different culture differences?
I think, because it's only US based, because I've been working
Mhm.
with Amazon, so US based maybe, and the Indian, but the US based ones, I had a Singaporean and Chinese. So also, even if it's the US, there's still a diverse culture, right? So it varies. Different. I think different nationalities have, different personalities, and upbringing and culture within themselves. So yeah, I think I've been, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4.
So I'd Bea, that you have worked with the four different set of countries and they have a different culture. Even in India, if we talk about, we do have each and every state has a different culture, right? Lot of things has been different in our area. South people follows different things. North people follow different things, right? So,
Right.
what are the things that you could tell us to our viewers that you like most about any of the culture? What are the unique thing that you have found in every culture? Because I don't want you to ask that which culture is the best. I cannot do that because
Yeah.
every culture has its own unique way, right? Its own outcomes, pros and cons, right? So tell me about your experience about these four culture.
Yeah. So the culture, I would say, one thing I like about the Indian culture is that you are so into, the wellness, the Ayurveda, which the company is all about. So, I have learned about Ayurveda, and my mind have opened, opened into what Ayurveda is. So that's one thing. I think Indian people are also very spiritual. So that's one thing. When in the American side, I would say it's more on, different clients have different, a different approach, in handling people also, and the culture of the work. So I would say the Americans would be, very systematic, and it's work, work, work. It's like a lot of work. A very different way of nurturing the employees, I would say. So yeah, I don't want to get in trouble.
What about the Chinese culture?
Same. It's more on a little bit of strict, policy, and but yeah. So different. It really varies, even if they are in the same area, like US. Really different way of handling.
I'm really curious to know about Bea, about your culture, Filipino culture, that how they do work.
Filipinos are really hardworking. I've seen a lot of Filipinos, work even if it's like storm and typhoon. Yeah, so very hardworking, very competitive. Filipinos are very competitive. Yeah, and they're very caring and empathetic, I would say.
So I think we do have that common ground, like Filipinos and Indian. We do are also very hardworking. We perceived as a hard worker and a smart worker. but and we do have that caring and nurturing things
Mm,
in us. So
yeah.
with that, yeah, I do have some of the questions for you that can you can explain it or you want to keep it in a one word. So let's do that. Funny question.
Right.
Okay, so my first question to you is that what's the most unusual food you have tried from another culture, and would you eat it again?
Right. So I'm not an adventurous eater. I don't really go out of my way trying things that I'm not really sure to eat. So I don't have anything like that.
Okay, so my next question to you is that if you could instantly become fluent in one language, which one would you and why would you choose that language?
Right. So I think Chinese, because Chinese is, all of the suppliers in China, I can speak to them and negotiate. So I think Chinese.
Okay, great. So in how many language you can say how are you?
I think four. I had to review that. Like I tried to study Japanese also, and Chinese. I think I've heard it before, like ni hao or ni hao ma, and then in Japanese it's genki desu ka, and of course U.S. is how are you, and then my own language is kamusta ka.
Namastika. Okay. Okay, okay, great. In India you can say aap kaise ho?
आप कैसे हो?
Okay, great. So
Hey,
moving to the
I'm
next.
fine. आप कैसे हो?
Aap kaise ho? Yes. Okay, so now let's move to the next question. What's the strangest thing you have had to explain in your about your own culture to the others?
Yes, I think we had this quiz before. The Philippines has the longest Christmas celebration. Next month will be September, so most of the malls will bring out all of their Christmas decorations in the mall. So that's something weird. I grew up doing that, but now it's like that is a weird kind of like not a weird, but maybe special.
Great, great. Okay, because I also get to know about when we had those activity session about birth. September, October, November, December. You guys celebrate 4 months as your Christmas. Great. Okay. So my next question to you is: if you could swap holidays with another country for a year, which one would you choose
New
and why?
Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand, because I have been reading and some videos about New Zealand that they have the best work-life balance actually. I don't know how real that was, but there's a lot of testimonials about it.
Okay, so let me search about it. That how what is the culture of New Zealand then?
Yeah, their work.
Okay.
Yeah.
My last question too is: if your team's culture diversity was a TV show, okay, would it be more like a Friends or a Game of Thrones? Have you watched both the series?
I have watched Game of Thrones, but I'm just seeing a little bit of Friends. So I'm not very particular with Friends, but it would be Friends because Game of Thrones is more very um, physical and maybe a little bit brutal. So that's not how our work is.
Okay. So, what would be the final advice would you give to someone who is struggling with the cultural barrier in the workplace?
All right. So I think if you really are having a hard time adjusting to the culture of the company you're working with, it's really important to be honest about it, to really identify what those barriers are and see with HR, that you're really struggling with that, with that particular issue. Because I think no one, if you don't really speak up about it, you will continue. Either you'll just keep adjusting and maybe you'll adjust, as time goes by. But, if you can't, then you have to say something about it, and there's always going to be an adjustment period, I would say. So yeah, good luck to everyone who's maybe having that particular issue. But yeah, go speak up, and the HR can help you about it.
So, Bea, you know what? These all practical tips that you have shared with us, that real talk with HR, right? Real talk when you are struggling. Do not judge, do not make assumptions. So this is what I thought that we should be emphasizing more upon that, because definitely it's not very easy to understand somebody's culture in a one day, or even when we are working together, right? I think these small thing that we do to understand, not making assumptions about the other cultures, start trusting your people about their cultures, give them the flexibilities, right? So these are all of the practical steps that they can adopt themselves to be flexible and capable. What do you say about it?
Yes, and I don't think that the culture of a specific country that you're working with is being imposed on you. So there's
Definitely.
also going to be respect with different cultures. So I think that's the most important thing, that the company is not imposing a particular culture to, unless it's a company culture wherein it's, but again, the respect for each individual should be there.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Bia, for sharing your insight with us today. Because culture diversity is such a valuable asset in any of the workplace, and it's really great to hear how you have navigated this challenge and turned them into opportunities for us. Thank you so much, Bia, for joining. And to everyone's watching, we hope that you found this discussion helpful. If you did, do not forget to like and subscribe to our video. Thank you, Bea. See you next time. Bye
Thank
bye.